Hello and welcome to Papa Bear at Home. I am the host, Papa Bear, or Ben, if you will. Uh, this is our first episode of this podcast. I've tried making this episode a handful of times now, and quite honestly, I didn't have the right material and mindset really ready for me to sit down and talk with you guys. I guess a quick introduction about me. Like I said, my name's Ben. I'm a mid-30s dad in the middle of St. Louis. I've got a wife with two boys, so a third boy on the way. We've got two dogs, three cats, a couple fish. We have a house that we're paying on out in the middle of the suburbs. We're kind of, I would say, a typical American family, if you will, just living our lives out here in the suburbs. So last night I got an email from our teacher of our first grader, and she mentioned that today was going to be the book fair. And it just got me thinking back to when I was a kid and how I envisioned that book fair. For us, it came in an RV, the Scholastic Book Fair RV. And you would walk in, and it was just wall-to-wall books and toys and knickknacks and magic tricks and everything that you could think of. And man, that place had everything you would have thought. I mean, gosh, like if you would have thought of it, you could have found it there. And that's what I remember of that book fair. And I also remember just taking a handful of dollars up to the register with whatever I had picked out and dropping it down, and then being like, it's good, and sending me on my way. And when I was told that I would be able to join my kid today for the book fair, I knew that I wanted to surprise him by going up there and, helping him pick out some books and toys or whatever else he wanted to for the book fair. So I had dreams of, maybe not even dreams, aspirations, or an idea, an expectation is probably more like it, of me waiting there in the library, which is where they were holding their book fair. It makes sense. And him walking in, seeing me, Daddy, what are you doing here? That kind of thing, big hug, and then me telling him, hey, I'm here so you can buy your books for the book fair. And so you can also pick out a toy for your brother as well, because his brother's in preschool and they don't have a book fair coming to the preschool. What happened was, I got there. Number one, it's about 40 degrees and it's raining out. And so I walked in just soaked. I was already not great. I got there about 15 minutes before my kid's class did, which happens. I get it. Everybody runs behind. My kid did see me. He did not light up. He walked over confused. He said, Dad, what are you doing here? I said, I'm here for the book fair. And he said, but you didn't give me any money for the book fair, so we can't buy anything. It's like, man, I'm here so that you can buy things. Like, I brought money with me today for us to go buy books and toys, with the caveat that you have to pick out one thing for your brother. And they got a smile out of him thinking of his brother, because they really are best friends. It's pretty cute, but he was still mad that I didn't send him with any money. And then to speak of the book fair, nowhere near as much the selection as I remembered, and just a woeful staff at the front desk. Ladies, if you ever do come across this video and you recognize me from this book fair, I'm sorry, you guys did well for what you had. It was just, man, it didn't live up to my expectations. And they could have had more people helping out. By being an adult in the middle of that shop, I became a de facto price checker for these kids who just didn't or couldn't find prices on their items. It was just kind of mayhem. And yeah, it wasn't at all what I was expecting. In the end, we still got a couple toys for each boy. We got a book, Sonic 2, based on the movie, because my boys are obsessed with Sonic. I don't know what it is. I mean, it's enjoyable, but man, they are obsessed. They got plushies, they got video games, they will love watching Sonic videos on YouTube or wherever else they can find it. But so we got a book now for them, so we'll start reading that at night to them, and hopefully they get into reading a little bit more instead of just wanting to watch YouTube or whichever else. So I'm getting ready to leave, and he looks at me all kind of sheepishly, and he goes, my stomach hurts a little bit, and I'm feeling tired, and just hemming and hawing, and it's like, buddy, you haven't even had lunch yet. Just wait until after lunch and try to make it through the day, because they had the lunch, and then they were gonna have another assembly. They had some assembly this morning and another one this afternoon. So it was really a day full of things that the kids didn't even have to pay attention to, which for that kid should have been right up his alley, because his attention span is nil, bit like mine. But it was something he didn't feel like sitting through, and he goes, well, I could go talk to the nurse and I can tell her I'm not feeling good, but my dad's here so he can take me home, and then I can go home with you now. And as much as that sounded sweet and nice for me to feel wanted like that, I was also being used, because he wanted to come home and play with his new toys and his books, and particularly get back onto his tablet. So I had to say, no, that's not what we're here for. You got to go back to class. You got to go have fun. You have some fun stuff to look forward to for the rest of the day. Go eat your lunch. I packed a good one today. Just get back there. So he said, okay. And he kind of moped back to the back of the library. And, that's kind of where we left off. So, bit of a letdown in the beginning, bit of a letdown at the end. Once the younger kid gets home later today and we get to break out those toys, I think it'll be a little exciting again, because we'll get to see the look on his face as he sees he got toys and he got a Sonic book. We got Minecraft figurines to paint. So I'll have to be better about the paint with the Minecraft thing, because the last time we had paint, we have this wooden bench that's in front of one of our bay windows. I know, bougie bay windows. We got lucky. But we built a bench on there. And anyway, so my mom sent home paint with one of these kits one time. And my kids obviously didn't use the paint for the kit. What ended up happening was there's a pile of paint dumped onto this bench and smeared around. And then, of course, we didn't find out about it until after it had dried and a cat had walked through it. So there's handprints and just random smears, and there's little paw prints walking away from it, with just kind of cute, but still just a reminder that something stupid happened. But that's life with kids, though, isn't it? And it just brings me to the point I wanted to make for today, is managing our expectations versus the reality of what our lives turn out to be. I in no way envisioned this is where my life was going to be. I thought I was going to be either a doctor or a pilot when I was younger. I went to the Air Force Academy, so I was pretty close to getting that pilot spot, but I wasn't a good cadet. I wasn't a good student, and ultimately that dream died. And because I was so bad a student while I was there, the doctor dream also didn't happen. So I had to kind of learn how to readjust my priorities, readjust my expectations, and kind of start from anew. And it happens to a lot of us, especially these last few years. We've had the whole world kind of torn out from underneath our feet and then planted back down in this pandemic. And then the rules have been constantly changing to where everything's still almost back to normal, but not really, and everybody seems to hate each other for one reason or another. And then there's still a lot of good people in the middle who are just like, I just want to get along, or I like my wife and I, I just want to be left alone. We're homebodies. But anyway, back to what I'm saying. Expectations versus reality. A lot of us start off with these sky high expectations. you know, whether it's you want to be a professional athlete, you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, or etc. Um, the world has its place for you, no matter who you are or what you do. The world has its place for you, and it took me a long time to realize that. For me, I think my biggest place is right here where I am, with the family I have, the kids I have, the job I have. I doing things like that, having this service mentality, and being just a servant of the people around me. That's where I fit in, and I thought I was going to be a great leader, being this pilot, and then an officer, or a doctor, or whatever. But I still have that sense of compassion, and I found my fit serving those around me. And I don't mean in some kind of subservient fashion. I'm not like uh, a masochist. I don't like just being stepped on. I mean, I like being a part of something big. And I think that this idea that you're going to know what you want to do when you're young and it's always going to happen is a load of crap. And it's okay that that doesn't happen. You know, not living up to your expectations is okay. And if anything, it's a part of life. You know, there's a number of studies about how many times young people have changed their professions before the age of 30 or 40 or whatever. That's because nobody knows what they're doing when they're young. We go to school, and then we get out of school, and most of us now go to college, and we think we have an idea of what we're going to do. And so we spend all this money to do it, and then we get out and we can't find a job in that field, and we feel like failures. Well, you can still find something that you have a passion for, and you can still find a way to start off in that service if you really want to. You know, like, if I wanted to still go out and be a pilot, I could still work my butt off to get a bit of extra money to start getting my private pilot's license on the weekends and work my way into that job. If you have the drive, you can do it. I understand the means is a different story sometimes, but a lot of times you are your only obstacle. So you got to learn how to get past you. You're your own gatekeeper. You are what's limiting you from moving forward. And I think that's kind of important. And it was hard for me to digest at first because I kept wanting to blame everything around me. When I was at the Air Force, I wanted to blame it on my problems on inattentive classmates or inattentive leadership that saw me flailing and didn't do anything. And while sure, some of that may have happened, that's not an excuse. It's just part of what happened to me. The biggest part was me. I made those failures. I didn't ask for help when I needed it. I recognized that I was falling to pieces and I didn't get the help I needed. And so for those of you that are really kind of in that transition spot where you have all these expectations and you feel like you're failing and falling so short of them, there's a few things I want you to do. Number one is find an outlet, some source of therapy. It can be, I mean, it can start off just you talking to yourself in the mirror, or start journaling, or grab your phone and record your voice. Just start getting those thoughts out there. Start feeling comfortable getting those uncomfortable thoughts out in the open. And then once you're able to, look for a licensed therapist. It's somebody that you can actually open up to, who can help you and guide you through what you're feeling and what you think needs to happen. Because, you know, again, we all have all these plans, but we can plan all we want, but life's just going to just knock you back down. And learning to deal with that, learning to deal with that is important. And therapists have a number of tools in their box to help you through it. I'm going to post an article underneath here in the description with some links to my favorite virtual mental health resources, places like BetterHelp or Talkspace or onlinetherapy.com, places like that. Just some resources, so if you need something, you can reach out and just kind of look and see if it's something you can afford. A number of them do accept insurance. Some of them will reimburse your insurance. You just kind of have to look into it. So that's number one, was therapy. Number two is, with that therapy, is learning to adjust our expectations. And you can't go through life like we've already said, with one plan and sticking to it completely. It's never going to happen that way. So act kind of like the suspension in your car, if you will. You've got an idea of where you're going, but you need something to kind of help you over the bumps and the ridges and the sharp sticks in the road. So just learn how to adjust your expectations. It's not going to be all smooth sailing. Some of us are going to be driving an old truck that's going to bounce you out the seat. Others will be riding nice and soft in a Cadillac, but everybody's going to have to deal with something one way or the other. Third, accept that we're never going to live up to that idea of perfection. None of us are perfect. Anyone who's claimed to be perfect is full of crap, and I know that you guys have heard that before. But that includes yourself, right? We're not perfect, and the sooner we can accept that we're not perfect is it's beneficial. Good enough sometimes is good enough. There's a lot of times that I want to make things perfect around here. I don't want to go to bed angry with my wife. I don't want my kids to go to bed upset or hungry because they decided that they didn't want to have dinner. But that doesn't always happen. Sometimes we're going to go to bed upset. Sometimes our kids are going to be a little hungry going to bed because somebody was a little bit too picky about what he wanted to eat for the night. Sometimes good enough is good enough. You've made it through all of these days and battles so far. You can get through today too. You'll be all right. And then finally, just always strive to better yourself. Make things, work towards your goals. You even now, I'm 34, I'll be 35 in a few months. Even now, if I really wanted to, and if I wanted to put the time and money and effort into it, I could still go back to school and try to get in and be a doctor again. Any of us can go back and continue to work on ourselves. What I've chosen to do is try to better myself mentally so I can be a better dad, a better husband, a better friend, and hopefully somebody that people out here can kind of look up to or come to with problems or ideas. And I just hope we all kind of get to be comfortable with ourselves, and I hope you get to be comfortable with me. With that, I'll start wrapping it up, and let me just start with a shameless plea, kind of like that you should do at the end of Dirty Jobs. I don't have a ton of ideas yet for all these podcasts or these videos. If there's something that you want looked into, or some kind of parenting or family or whatever topic you want researched and talked about, by all means, drop a comment, shoot me a message. I'd be more than happy to take a look into almost anything, within reason. You'll, if you cross the line, just know it's probably going to be a no. But for now, please, anything you guys think looks good, shoot me a message. And just know I appreciate you all, and I'll see you next time.